What's poppin', everybody? We are coming at you on a Wednesday during the middle of the day. What's happening? What's going on? Well, it's Juneteenth, so we both have holidays because we have cool. Well, Drew has a cool job. I just have a job that has some cool holiday perks. But yeah, we're here. I also want to say, Drew, because I was just backstage with you, and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna play the video and go live." And I hit go live, and I was like, "Oh shit." I don't have any water and I'm already like my mouth is already dry. So I like threw my headphones off, sprinted through my room, went through the laundry room, into the kitchen, grabbed water, ran back in, sat down, got my headphones in, and I was like, right as we're coming in.
Yeah,
So
speaking of that, give me 1 second.
well, while Drew is grabbing his water, we are coming.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, and that was fast. That was fast. Welcome back, man. Did you get your water? Are you
Yes, I did.
ready to hydrate? Yeah. So couple of exciting things. One, you got a shipment recently of some graded books. We haven't opened them yet, but I think the plan is to open these Friday night.
That is correct. Yeah, Friday night we're gonna be popping the cherry on this box. We're gonna be seeing what these two books came graded back as, because Dallas Fan Expo. As soon as we cracked open the case of the Unholy Nightmare preview books, I grabbed 2 copies, had everyone who was there who worked on it to sign it, and ran over to CBCS. They had to go around, verify everyone did sign it, which was fun. But they got it done. He sent the. He was cool. He was a cool dude. And we talked about Michigan City and Gary, how much of a shithole they are. Because, hey, I mentioned Gary, Indiana in Unholy Nightmare, the very first page. But, yeah, so I'm curious to see what they come graded back as. We'll find out Friday night.
Friday night. So if you're not doing anything Friday night, make sure you tune in to Max's show. I'm not sure if he's rebranding yet, so I'm not going to say the name of the show. But we'll crack those suckers open and see what they're graded as. And yeah, and Holy Nightmare first graded copies officially making their presence in the world. So that'll be fun. Before we hop in this, I've got 2 people I want to say hi to real quick. We've got Fear Monarch. Can't be a thirsty boy, no joke, because I will get up here and start having dry mouth while I'm trying to talk, and look, I have enough problems without having dry mouth, so we don't need to add that into the equation.
Now, wait a minute. Is he saying don't you want to be thirsty as in water, or you don't want to be thirsty, as the kids say these days?
Well, maybe if it were Thursday, we could say it's Thirsty Thursday. But no, for right now, it's just we're going to go with hydration. How about that? Okay, we also have Cannoli popping in. What the fuck? Josh in the middle of the day? What did I do to deserve this? Josh showing that Juneteenth pride. Only thing would have made it better was if we came on with our a little melanin going on in our face. How about that? But we would have paid.
We're asking people to send us money.
So the backstory there is one of our favorite comic book writers, T. Franklin, the greatest, went on Twitter saying, "Happy Juneteenth. Why don't you people send me that freedom money?" Or did she specifically say white folk? Why don't you white folks send me that? I don't know. It was along those lines.
Yeah, whatever she could to make us feel guilty for being white. Yeah, feel free to send that freedom money to $ Bingo Love Comic.
Yeah. Wow. What a tragic person. T. Franklin, everybody. T. Franklin. Mm-hmm. So, for sure. We are here today to talk about the top 5 comics of May. We're getting to this later than we normally do. I look, guys, I know we're already like on the back third of June, but June's been a busy month. I had my personal stuff that I was dealing with those first week and a half, and then we had Fan Expo, and then it's just been like one thing after the other. So we're getting to this late, but I didn't want to just skip it. I want to have it here on file, on record, that we do love comics and we do talk about positive things. So we're coming together today to go through our top 5. But before we get into our top 5, we're going to talk about a little crowdfunding book that Senior Drizzleberry Pop-Tarts over here got for us. And he actually got me a copy. I have not read it yet, so it's still on my to-do list. But it is a little book called Snowman, A Cold Day in Hell. So, Drew, I believe you said this is the best crowdfunding book that you've read so far?
Absolutely, 100%. This book was 3 years in the making. And I remember when I backed this back in December so many years ago, back 2021, back when we still had the COVID lockdown. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I remember Ethan Van Sciver and Matt Martin saying, oh, yeah, it's going to be out here in a year. Don't worry, we're going to get it out in a year. But Matt didn't really do any live streams. He may have done like one live stream, but Matt doesn't do them at all, period. And it's pretty much Ethan promoting it most of the time. And he did a great job selling it. But as the years went by, I just started thinking that wasn't going to happen, never going to get it. We would get some updates, not many, but wouldn't you know it, in May, I got my first copy, then I got the next copy the next week. I got 3 or 4 copies. I gave one to you. I gave one to Josh, Max, sorry.
Yep.
And when I initially read it, I was blown away by the story. I was blown away by the art. He delivered. Matt Martin completely 100% delivered on the book. It blew away all my expectations. This was I called this this was Aaron Lopresti's Wraith of God on crack right here. This is what this is. It is insane. The art is insane. This is the violence you want. I was kind of expecting from Wraith of God, and but it shoots off like it's on crack. Seriously, it is insane. The violence, the art, the detail. Matt Martin is insane, and the fact, I guess he did the pencils by hand, from my understanding. He did the inks digitally, which I can see it because I mean it's insane the amount of detail in this book. He left it on a great cliffhanger as well. It was a very creative cliffhanger, so I can't wait for the next issue. And apparently, he's already working on the second issue. I talked to Matt Martin about it because I was going to try to get him on the cover, but he's like, "Nope, I'm too busy right now. I'm doing this." I'm like, fair enough. And I was blown away by this book. This is what every crowdfunded book should be living up to. This is the expectation right here. This book, because when you get every bang for your buck here.
Yeah, and I know Kyle kind of shared the same sentiments because Kyle mentioned that he feels like this is also the best crowdfunded book that he's read. Because for him, it dethroned.
Wraith of God.
Oh, it was Wraith of God. Yeah. So, I've got my copy. I need to sit down and read it. I'm gonna focus on playing catch up with everything I need to read, and then I'll get to it. But I'm super stoked. And yeah, you can just see the artwork here, the line work. It's definitely something unique and special.
It's every panel, every page, every panel, nothing is wasted. Everything is so intricately detailed. You see why it took so long, and it was worth it.
Heck yeah. I mean, look, in a time when we're trying to find other means of good comics outside of the big two, I think we had a lot of hope for a lot of these crowdfunding projects, and a number of them end up disappointing us to a degree. I'm not going to say any names of any specific people. Dude, look at that. Like that right there. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just I think that's a double splash, I think.
Yeah.
But that's just a double splash out of 60 plus pages in this book. Trust me, your mind is going to be blown when you read this book.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. Between you and Kyle talking about it, I don't know if Max has read it yet, but I know Max and I were both excited. One that you gave it to us, we're like, oh, cool, and then y'all started talking about it, I was like, oh, damn. And then Max opened it up while we were in Dallas and started flipping through the pages. Like, holy shit, that looks good. So super stoked. But if you guys didn't get your hands on this, try to get your hand on a copy, because it looks like this, as Drew said, has set the bar for crowdfunding comics. I mean, in a lot of ways, a lot of comics too, because you don't see pencils with this much detail anymore. Like, just
no, not at all. It's very rare, very hard to find. I mean, guys like this, they're not doing interiors anymore. Like Ethan Van Sciver, not really doing interiors anymore. Tim Vigil, he's not really doing interiors anymore. Juan Jose Reap is the only guy that comes close to this, I believe. He's the one guy I can say putting this amount of detail that's still doing interiors.
And I'll say too, like, I mean, just to be fair, you know, this is something they would not be able to accomplish on a monthly release. Like, it just wouldn't be possible. But I think this is also what makes this great is like you can take your time getting this out. I know, you know, it took a few years, but if you know this is what you're getting, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. And I do think, you know, the big two need to hire artists and stuff like this to plan just graphic novels. To like do a graphic novel where you can get this amount of detail in, just let the artist and writer do their work on it, and then as they're wrapping up, announce it and then put a release date. You know, why not?
100%. You know, why they're not utilizing these artists to do a book, a once a year book, oversized graphic novel once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? It boggles the mind, other than they're just too cheap.
Yeah. And you can consider it like a prestige book and charge more than what you typically charge if you want. I think people would still, I mean, I think
maybe do a variant cover for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we see that people are willing to pay the money for it if it's going to be quality. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Happy to promote that and kind of get it out there so people can hopefully become aware of it and see it. Fear Monarch. The real question is, can Dolan find 5 without giving a shameless plug to Unholy Nightmare? I think there's going to be some shameless plugging, so just get ready. We already did a little bit to start the show off.
That wasn't me. That was you.
Yeah, that was me. And then Fear Monarch also put, well, if it's EVS, you got to plan for it to be late. Yeah, I mean, again, if it's that quality and I know that's what's coming, I'm perfectly fine with it. As long as they actually do deliver. You've got to actually deliver the goods. So, but let's get into what we're really here for. So we're going to review the top 5 comics of May. And for a reminder, we kind of split our list. So I deliver the top 5 debuts that came out in May. And Drew goes over just the general top 5. But we're going to go ahead and get things rocking and rolling with the number 5. And I'm going to start with my pick. And it's Blood Squad 7, number 2. Oh, that's supposed to be number 1. My bad. Whoops. Fat fingered that one. So this is written by Joe Casey with art by Paul Fry and colors by Chris Weston. 30 years ago, Blood Squad 7 was America's most popular superhero team. Its members were seen on television, on magazine covers, scoring $1 million endorsement deals, and they were celebrities. They were celebrities and they were everywhere. But that was then. This is now. And so a new generation of modern-day heroes takes up the mantle, or perhaps the poison chalice, fulfilling a promise made decades ago to be the heroes that fractured American needs. While deconstruction of superhero nostalgia typically center around the classic characters of the Silver Age, Blood Squad 7 will delve deep into 90s comic book themes with the imagining of what would happen if heroes from that decade returned to action after a 30-year absence. One of these days I'll learn how to read, guys. I promise. It's that Texas education. Did you read this, Drew?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right.
I wasn't. Go ahead.
I wasn't blown away. I wasn't underwhelmed. I would have hoped for some more action in it. There was a lot of bureaucracy in this book. I'm like, okay, we got it. There's a lot of West Wing action going on here. When I say West Wing, I mean walking and talking. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But if you're saying like you're bringing back this 90s team, I want to see some high octane action here. But we do get some of it, which is good. I really hope we do get more action. But it's just fine.
Agreed. I think starting off like the first like 6 or 7 pages, I was more invested for sure. It kind of dipped down a little in the middle because that's where a huge chunk of that bureaucracy was. And then by the end, they like introduced 2 new characters and set up a scenario that for me, I'm gonna at least check out the next issue. And it seems like it could be good. It's definitely gonna have to pick up the action a bit. If you're gonna kind of throw that, like you said, throw that 90s usage around or description around.
Yeah, because the way it's turning out, I mean, because don't get me wrong, I like Joe Casey, but if he's promising 90s and you're delivering early 2000s, that's not a good sign because it tells me you're delivering a shit ton of dialogue, and that's not why I'm here for a 90s title.
Yeah, and there's a good chunk of dialogue. Now, I will say the dialogue is handled relatively well for the most part. It's pretty damn good. But I want to focus more on the missions and these characters and what they're doing, and then maybe the consequences of what they're doing. Not so much the people that are in the government figuring out how to make this team okay with America again. Because there's a reason they separated to begin with, and that's kind of touched on. But yeah, it's not afraid to be violent and rough. It just needs more of it. And but for me, I thought it was a solid debut. I'm willing to check it out and revisit it for the second issue. And I hope we see a little uptick in the action and the energy. JD Petty put, oh boy, superhero deconstruction. Yeah, it's not like we see that all the time. Never. It's not like Tom King ever tries to do that. Try being the key word.
And not like he will be doing it again with Jenny Sparks.
Oh gosh, I don't even want to think about that at all. I got Fear Monarch. All right, I had to double check all the junk I bought last month, and now I'm prepared to judge y'all's choices. Yeah, feel free, man. Feel free. We'll take it. So
yeah.
So Drew, your number 5 pick for the month of May is Transformers number 8. Written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by Jorge Corona, colors by Mike Spicer. So this is Welcome to Cybertron as the Autobots and Decepticons make some tough choices to survive on Earth. The return of, spoiler, will change the war on Cybertron forever. Why'd you pick this as your number 5 pick?
This would normally be higher, but this, honestly, Carly reared her ugly head again in this issue. Yeah. And Carly is just a bitter, big nasty pill that you gotta swallow.
I thought she was your favorite, man. Like I thought you loved that character.
And then she opened her mouth. I'm kidding. But seriously, no. As soon as she opens her mouth, she is an unbearable character. Yeah. And later on in the book, she busts out a rocket launcher inside the Autobots headquarters. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's just she's just an immature brat who needs to be put in her place. Honestly, I'm sorry. She has to be. Someone, Cliffjumper, someone has to be like, hey, shut the fuck up, sit in the corner and sit in the corner and color while the adults handle this action right here. All right, yeah, let the adults handle this. It's ridiculous. But anyway, besides her, we get RC in this. We see what she's gone through in Cybertron. We got some great action. We got insane action on some aircraft carriers with the Decepticons, taking out the military. Literally things have gone from bad to worse in this issue. And it's like, what the hell are the Autobots going to do at this point? Because if they're doing all this infighting and having to deal with Carly, how the hell can they handle the Decepticons? And we've already read the next issue at this point, and it gets pretty ugly. But it's still very, very well drawn by Ray Corona. I got to give him all the credit in the world. I was one of the biggest doubters. I didn't think he could do it, and he's nailing it. He is bringing the heat. Yeah, and
we've talked about this before. It feels like he's trying to do his best to channel Daniel Warren Johnson as best as possible in terms of the art style. And it looks good. It's not a rough transition from one artist to the next. It doesn't take you out of the book. It stays and feels pretty consistent. And I will agree with you. Carly, for me, is just like, anytime I see her, I just have to take a deep breath and just hope that she's not going to be, because there's been times where she hasn't been completely annoying. And then there's some issues where it's just like, God, I hate this character. So.
Yeah, still giving Cliffjumper shit. And it's just like, what the hell did Cliffjumper ever do to you? I don't understand it. One of the nicer of the Autobots, like Bumblebee, one of the most harmless of the Autobots, right next to Bumblebee. What the hell did he do to you?
Cliffjumper, just throw her off the cliff and see if she can jump. It's going to be a no.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our number 4 pick for the month. So we're going to come in with my pick. So my 4th place debut for May is going to be Gromit's number 1, written by Rick Remender and Brian Posen, art by Brett Parson with colors by Marino Denizio. So one, I'm just going to start off by saying this. I thought this was a lot of fun, and it really took me by surprise. But it's two best friend outcasts navigate the Sacramento suburbs of 1984, where they find a home in a skateboard culture and punk rock. On one side of the coin, Grommets is an authentic look at the 80s skater culture, a snapshot of the generation that turned skating to a worldwide phenomenon. On the other hand, it's a heartfelt coming-of-age story that follows two friends from troubled homes as they navigate their damage in an area when no one cared. I feel like a lot of people try to do these 80s nostalgia baits, and it feels forced. And everything about this felt natural. It feels like Rick Remender is telling a story of his childhood. And like, because I kept wondering, I was like, I wonder if this is him. Like, so it's the character that's in the red t-shirts in here, and I just kept wondering, I wonder if this is meant to be Rick. But the characters are a lot of fun. Yeah. Did you read this by chance or?
No.
No?
I'm not a big fan of Brian Posehn. I'm not a big fan of his writing. But to be honest with you, I grew up here in the Midwest, and skating culture was not really that big here in Indianapolis. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. It was not a thing here. So
I'll agree with you. It's not a big thing in Texas either. And I maybe that's why I expected nothing from this, but it ended up being a solid read with really good characterization. And it looks like a fun story. It's only 7 issues, so it's not going to be like a huge run, but it kind of had. It almost kind of had like a Mallrats vibe to it, even though that's more 90s than 80s. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it surprised me. And I'll definitely be picking up that second issue. So, all righty, Senor. Let's. Hold on. We got Fear Monarch coming in with skating ain't been as cool since around Tony Hawk Underground 2 dropped. Couldn't even tell you when that dropped. Never played it. I know who Tony Hawk is.
Yeah, me too. I know he walks around now with like a hurricane. I know he can barely walk. I know he's a. I think he's doing AARP commercials now. But yeah.
I love that you specifically called out a hurricane, the one with the little symbol on the base. That's awesome. Oh man. What do you put? Don't accidentally the whole sentence there. What? I don't know what that means. And then Skater Culture got imported from the West Coast to here thanks to Tony Hawk and Rocket Power. I don't even know what Rocket Power is.
No, I don't know either. Gotcha. I was in basic training in 2004. I was in the Air Force when I jumped in, so I have no clue what that is.
I was in high school, but we'll leave it at that. So Drew, your number 4 pick for the month of May is Feral number 3, written by Tony Fleeks with art by Trish Forstner and colors by Tony Rodriguez. And this is more animal horror in this ongoing series from the creators of Stray Dogs. Elsie, Lord, and Patch learn the rules for survival, but will they follow them? In a forest infested with rabid monsters, the indoor cats can't afford to make any mistakes, but mistakes are Lord's specialty. Don't get bit, don't get scratched, don't become feral. Why did you pick this as your number 4?
So I've said it before. I hate cats. I really, really hate cats. I'm not a fan at all. But this story itself, what Tony and Trish have done here is that they've gotten me, a cat hater, to really care for and be concerned for these cats as they're trying to survive this new batch of zombie rabies that's infesting. It's infecting other creatures out in the wild, and they're trying to survive. And Lord Fluffykins, Lord Fuzzy Britches. I'm sorry, long silly name, but we get a little bit of her past, and she's trying to survive in the forest, and she's trying to deal with the human. They're trying to survive the humans trying to shoot them down because they fear that they've all been infected, and they're trying to climb across trees, but across other infected animals, and trying to cross rivers. It's great survival horror stuff, and I like it. And there's one great moment in this when, because it's kind of true, the humans have set up these traps with like little shiny, like dangly crystals or whatever, and the cat's like, "Ooh, shiny! We got to go toward that. It's nice." And the outdoor cat's like, "No, what are you doing, you idiot? No, those are traps. Don't do it." And it's pretty funny because cats like shiny stuff. And
cats like shiny stuff.
Yes, they do. And let's just say they may or may most of them may or may not make it out of this alive, and some of them may make it back toward a certain place that they're trying to get to from issue 1. And it's going to be very interesting to see what's become of society or this household in the next issue. But yeah, I really enjoy this. It's a very, very fast-paced, 28 days later cat rabies zombie
catastrophe.
Story. Is it? Aha. Whatever.
Yeah. And we just lost 2 subscribers. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, it's a very fun read. I highly encourage everyone to check this out.
Yeah, it is a fun read. And I think, like Stray Dogs, it's something that I would have originally thought, oh, this isn't going to be my cup of tea. But then I started reading it. And I think it's just done really, really well. I mean, we've talked about this before on various streams, but Trish's artwork is fantastic, and she manages to capture that kind of Disney look and feel in her art. But she can convey emotions so well with these animals, and like it's a page turner. Like you're invested, you want to keep reading, you get to the end of the book, and you're ready for the next issue. And I also don't like cats, but there are definitely times reading this that I'm like, oh no, and I feel a little sympathy for the cats. And Max just cries in the corner, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, of course he does.
If you want to put Feral is great. All things go well. If all things go well, there might be some pictures of my little demons in the back someday.
Yeah, I think
is
doing the same thing. I think.
Yeah. Max is trying to bribe to get Gideon back there or something. I don't know what's going on, but maybe Gideon will make an appearance. But Fear, if your little demons make it in there, you have to let us know so we can point it out. And yes, it is a catastrophe. Yeah, good pick. Look, seriously, guys, if you're not picking this book up, you need to. I talked to my LCS and he said this isn't catching heat like Stray Dogs did, and I think that's a shame. I think people should definitely kind of jump into this. It is different. It's definitely different, but it's still kind of that same vein, similar kind of horror elements in this animal world. And unlike Stray Dogs, this is going to be an ongoing series, and I think we should let the creative team just kind of run with it if sales can support that. So. All right, shall we move on to number 3? We're gonna pick back up with my selection. So the third best debut for the month of May, according to moi, is Drew. I think I'm gonna surprise you with this because I don't think I would have ever thought. Let me make sure. Make sure it is the right book. Yeah, I don't think I would have ever put a book by this writer in a top 5, in a top 10, in anything. And I almost didn't even buy this because I was going to be like, I'm not going to beep and like it. But it is Death Ratio #1, written by Mark Russell. Art by Lacey with colors by Marco Lesko. I'm going to read the description. They keep referring to this as a comedy, and I thought nothing about this was funny. I thought it was absolutely terrifying. But in this futuristic dark comedy by Eisner Ringo Award-winning writer Mark Russell, life and death are ruled by social media. One too many dislikes, and you're dead. When Arnold wakes up from a coma 20 years into the future, he discovers that society is now ruled by social media. Enough likes and upvotes can unlock fame and fortune, but watch your step. Enough thumbs down, clicks, and the collar around your neck explodes, and you're done. Now confused and running on his last like, Arnold must navigate a world in which the slightest online misstep can have fatal consequences. So this is very much a commentary on social media and people's obsession with it, overuse of it, all of that. Things that would typically make you cringe if you hear Mark Russell's writing it, but it was genuinely terrifying. There's just aspects.
I would say I would match you on this with it sounds like a Black Mirror episode about the social media credit score that you have. And
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's from the first season. This came out maybe at this point, almost 10 years ago at this point. This episode came out, social media scores and and like if it goes down or less than you're killed, you're everything. Yeah, you're gone. And so I'm like, sounds like he kind of lifted that.
You know what? It sounds like he may have. I don't know if it would have necessarily had. I mean, maybe it has a full social commentary going on like this has. But I did not hate this, and it's all the more confusing that they're calling.
Well, yeah, because he lifted a great idea from Black Mirror. That's why.
Yeah, possibly, but I read this and I remember finishing and being like, holy shit, that was way better than I thought it was going to be, and that is freaking terrifying. Because you have and it's just kind of like playing into this. It didn't lean politically one way or the other. It presented multiple fronts, but you also have characters that are like, I'm not going to live in this world. I'm not going to fall into this idea of society that social media rules everything. And I'm like, yeah, fuck, you go, guys, you do that. But then they can't live or eat or do anything if they don't have these neck bands on. So they're murdering people that are like famous or popular to be able to like have access to the main world, the main city, whatever. It was just way more intense than I thought it was going to be. So then when I was pulling the description and it's like a dark comedy, I'm like, nothing about this was funny. Like there was maybe a funny line here or there, but the entire concept was terrifying because we see society moving more and more that direction of, social media is kind of owning everything. Even into the extent of, we have legal like trials and everything going on, but it doesn't matter for the most part because everyone, public opinion has already made its choices half the time, and that's what people actually have to live with. So call me crazy for adding a Mark Russell book to my list, but it happened, guys. So
well, yeah, when you look the great idea that's already there, and it's very much like what Stephanie Phillips did with Nuclear Family. I'm like, holy crap, she wrote a good story. And then I had to remind myself, oh yeah, that was already well written 60 years ago by I think Arthur C. Clarke. I think wrote it. But yeah.
Fear Monarch's telling me I'm on thin ice, so I'm about to lose all credibility. What I will say is this is actually a one-shot book, and I was kind of sad that it was a one-shot because it ends, but it feels like it ends, with plenty of story to tell. But it says the end, and I was like, well, damn. And then JD Petty put still not going for government-sanctioned mutant influencers. I don't blame you. I've hated anything Mark Russell has written for the big two. I've absolutely hated, like completely. I think he did one Hanna-Barbera like crossover tie-in book. Oh yeah, maybe that was it. That I was like, all right, that's fine. And yeah, that was it. I didn't love it like everyone else did. Fear Monarch put, well, Mark Russell and comedy don't usually go together unless there's a doesn't do in between it. Yeah, agreed. And again, I'm completely bewildered why they call this a dark comedy because to me, nothing about that was funny. It was genuinely just horror for me. But yeah, JD Petty put also this hits close to home. The way clearly the futuristic aspects and the whole like Suicide Squad, we're gonna blow your head off aspects, like clearly that isn't realistic. The way they depicted people was spot on. So he wrote characters kind of like how you see people react to influencers, even people of power. It was a little crazy. Oh, they were going to ask if I'd heard of this little indie show called Black Mirror. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it. So I will, I will, kind of put some time into that and go check it out and see how much he lifted. And then JD Petty also put Black Mirror equals what if your mom ran into bat trees in it? I'm sure I could have said that with a better accent, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't seen the show. Does that have something to do with that episode?
I think so. Or yeah, I think it might have been an episode, but there are a lot of episodes that are like that.
Yeah. And look, see, Fear Monarch, Snagglepuss was great, and then everything else after it has been awful. So yeah. And then he also put just stick with the OG Twilight Zone and Tales from the Dark Side. Hey,
yeah,
Drew's a Twilight Zone fan, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Drew, your number 3 pick for the month of May is Ice Cream Man number 39, written by W. Maxwell Prince, with art by Martin Morazzo, colors by Chris O'Halloran. This is Decompression and a Wreck Part 1, and this first part of a 2-parter, which does not require reading of either part. We see how slow time can go when your bumper is making its way toward your trunk. Why did you pick this issue?
It's been a long lull between issues of Ice Cream Man, but still, this one, it lands a solid punch. The main thesis of the story is story decompression, and like we know, Josh, decompression in comic books it could be very excruciatingly boring. Brian Michael Bendis, for example, he is the king of decompression, where nothing fucking happens in the comic for maybe actually 5 comics before something happens. But this shows decompression in another way. And this, when you see this car wreck in slow motion happen, we get the perspective, the POV from each of the people in the car, like what their life would have been, what their life was going to be, what leading up to that crash, what it was like, and just seeing how their lives flash before their eyes in those mere seconds. And it's very heartbreaking. And it struck a chord with Kyle and I because our youngest brother died in a car accident. And so seeing something like this, it really hit home. And you never know, maybe those thoughts, maybe those visions of what your life could have been is going through your mind at that point.
Yeah.
We don't know. But yeah, it's a very powerful issue. It's a very scary issue. It's a very well illustrated issue. I encourage everyone to check this out.
Yeah, I would say Ice Cream Man is definitely one of those books where, like, don't judge a book by its cover or its title, because you're going to, see it or read it or see it, look at it, whatever, on the shelf and think, I don't know, this looks weird. It's not for me. And sometimes it is a weird book. But W. Maxwell Prince is one of those writers that he doesn't necessarily write plot. He writes to themes and character. And he's a good writer on a technical aspect, like the language and dialogue he uses to write is really strong. But man, like, he has a way to write stories that just resonate with you and pierce through you, and it's universal. I'm getting chill bumps thinking about some of the stuff that I've read from him. I genuinely think, and I've said this before about some of his other books, I think there's a lot of comics that are really, really good, but I would never consider them literature. And I think if you take a lot of what he's done, you could practically consider it literature. It's just like prose on a page sometimes. And the way he manages to tell a story, I don't know. It always sits with me. Kyle had Ice Cream Man as his top book for 2023. I had a different W. Maxwell Prince book as my top book for 2023. It's a freaking incredible book. Not the easiest read sometimes, but it's damn good. So, Fear Monarch put B cover as one of the best main covers yet. I don't know what the B cover is, but, or maybe we're talking about a different book there. So let me know, Fear Monarch. And then Fear also put, I'm down bad for Ice Cream Man. I'm trying to get an entire run. A's and B's. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's that'll be a nice little collection there, man.
It's going to be difficult in those early issues, specifically like 1 through 5. Some of those are going to be hard to get.
Yeah, because it wasn't, I don't think it had really like caught on. So I think probably the order count was lower, maybe. Or do you think?
Yeah. From what I recall, honestly, I think it started going to second, third, fourth, fifth prints pretty quickly. I think it had a stray dog effect where like it really caught on. And it just kind of snowballed after that with some of the subsequent issues, I think.
Yeah. He put Spooky Scare Spider-Man for IC number 39B. And then Fear also put, I have slabbed B of number 2 already, just patience. Yeah. I mean, patience, you'll definitely get it there. And I look, people collect whatever you want to collect, but I think this is definitely a run that's worthy of collecting and owning. So good job with what you're pulling there, Fear. Drew, are we ready to move on to our number 2 pick? for the month of May 2024.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So my number 2 debut, and I went back and forth on these two. They flip-flopped. My number 1 and my number 2 kept flip-flopping because I had 2 different aspects. One's more artistic, and one is more like, damn, I haven't had a mainstream comic this good that takes me back like this one has for the longest time. But I ended up landing on Bear Pirate Viking Queen number 1 as my number 2 pick. Do you know what my number 1 pick is going to be based on this? Maybe.
No, I don't. Okay. But I know Kyle's going to love you for picking this.
Yeah. So look, I had to read this twice when I read it because at first I read it and I don't think I was fully paying attention, and I remember thinking, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then I read it again, but I love the art. I was hooked on the art, and I was like, "I need to reread it." So I reread it. And it's early enough in the story that you don't really know what's actually happening in the way this issue ends. You don't fully know what's happening. But let me kind of give you guys a rundown. So it's written by Sean Lewis. Art and colors are by Jonathan Marks. Bada Vecchia. We're just going to go with that. How about that? And this is from Sean Lewis, King of Spawn, comes a blood-splattered story of conquest. Bears, pirates, Vikings, and queens, all battling for their claim to determine what the world will become. Rendered in stunning watercolor by artist Jonathan Marks Barakavia. It's a gorgeous story of the blood spilled to make countries. And what's cooler than bears, pirates, Vikings, and queens? Probably nothing, man. With 72 stunning pages, it's sure to be one of the most beautiful and thought-provoking books of the year. I would definitely say the art for me is like a 9 out of 10. There were some panels that were kind of hard to determine what they were, but then there were some pages that was like this double page spread that was almost like your grid layout, but then it was getting taken over by just a normal layout, but it still had the grids. Like a lot of really good work here. And again, I think this is going to be one of those books where it's less about plot and more about themes, because you're following this Navy captain. And then it looks like he's going to be your through line for all 3 issues. But the way this issue ends, it looks like that's not the case. So I thought it was really good. I know Wes hated this book. And he was like, it's not a good pirate story. And I'm like, I don't think it's a pirate story. Like, I get pirate is in the title, but I wouldn't consider this a pirate story. So do you disagree with that?
Well, we see someone becoming a pirate in this.
Yes.
You know,
yeah. But I don't think it's like a yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, like Pirates of the Caribbean type pirate story.
No.
Yes.
No, not that at all.
So.
No, this feels. I don't want to say it grounded in reality because of what happens in this, what the visuals in this, but like, let's just say it's a very colorful and interesting take on someone possibly becoming a pirate, and I go with that. And this bear coming out, this bear maybe representing his anger, his rage. That's what it appears to be. But yeah, like you said, the art in this is beautiful. I believe he goes from straight pencils to watercolors, and that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, there are some panels where it's just pencil, it's just line work. There's panels where it's full on watercolor, and you can see the pencils in there a little bit. Again, I think the art is fantastic. And I think one of the things that probably kept this from being number 1 for me too is I think how I ultimately feel about this first issue is going to depend on how the overall book ends. It's only 3 issues. I mean, there's 3 issues with each of them being around 72 pages. But I think whatever the full story is really going to kind of define the first issue overall, because so much for me is just left in the air. Like, where is this going? What's going to happen? What's the point? But I thought it was a solid read. Raphael Ponce hopped in the chat. What's up, brother? He goes, you guys gonna watch Kendrick concert today?
Kendrick.
Kendrick, I think Kendrick Lamar. I don't know. That's clearly a no on our end.
Yeah.
But Fair Monarch for based, and then he put that art was just delicious. Completely agree. And he also added, it was all the best atmosphere of the Disney trilogy of Pirates of the Caribbean with the vibe of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. yeah, it was just interesting. It was definitely a unique book. And yeah, less Yar pirate, more anarchy as pirates. So for sure. All right, Drew. What did you say?
I was just thinking of Talladega Nights. Anarchy. I don't know what it is, but I think
I like it. That is one of the stupidest movies, but it's also one of the most quotable movies of all time.
Yes.
So Drew, moving on to your number 2 pick for the month of May, we've got Nottingham number 12. So didn't make number 1. I think it was number 1 last week, right? Or no?
It might have been last. It might have been number 1. Yeah.
So number 2 still nothing to shake a head at. But written by David Hazen with art by Shane Connery Volk, who is awesome, and Max is getting original art from, and I'm kind of jealous. And colors by Luca Romano. This is Trial by Combat. The siege of Nottingham begins in the wake of the gruesome death at the heart of the castle. The sheriff fights for the life of an old enemy as Marion's control over the city falters. And we're in the final arc. So why did you pick this as your number 2?
Yeah. So it got slightly bumped because I love Shane Connery Volk's art in this. He's only gotten better as years progressed in this series. But in this issue particularly, it's hard. It's art-wise, it's hard to tell sometimes who's who in this book. So I'm having to go back. Wait a minute, is that King Richard? No, wait a minute, or is that the sheriff? I can't. It's hard to tell sometimes who's giving the dialogue at points. Because in a story like this, it gets very complicated because there's it's like party versus party versus party versus party. It's like I think 3 or 4 factions in this book at this point, vying for control of Nottingham. And it's kind of hard to tell at points who's who and who's trying to vie for control. But at the same point, the art in this is beautiful. The fight scene in this, the massive fight scene between the sheriff and I think it's Little John. I think they have their fight in the city. It's beautiful, and because the sheriff is pretty much fighting for the life of Friar Tuck at that point, and it's great how that winds up in the end, and how this opens with King Richard. What he does to tell them to open the gates is pretty damn twisted and sick. It's a very, very brutal series, very brutal issue, and I really don't know who's going to get control of the city. Is it going to be Marion and her crazy ass? Is it going to be the sheriff? Is it going to be Robin? Is it going to be the people? We don't know. It could be King Richard. As far as I know, just lay waste to the whole damn city. That's all I know. God damn. It's insane. This whole series is insane. Do get this to read. You're not going to expect what's going to happen in this.
Yeah. We were talking about the art in Snowman A Cold Day in Hell and just how detailed it is and how you don't really see that in modern comics. And even though it's hard to tell out characters for like who's who, some of the art that he does here and the crosshatch and the detail he puts in, it does feel unique and special compared to a lot of what's out there. And I don't know. Is that why they kind of took their break, the little break that they had for a while, just to let him?
Could have. Yeah, I'm sure that was a factor. And I'm sure the fact that he's a musician. I'm sure he was probably on tour and he had some concerts to do. But I mean, you see it. I mean, the art, and just look at that image itself. Look at the detail on the hand.
Yeah.
On the arm. It's insane.
And
Shane's
all the little
art,
hairs. Yeah,
you see all the little hairs on there, and you can see the detail in the bone in the hand. The fingers were stretched out. But if you compare issue 1, 2, or 3 to this issue now, the very first issues, he just took a light year jump in his skill and detail. It's insane. Shane's only gotten better as an artist, and I can't wait to see where we're at with issue 15.
Heck yeah. Again, this is one of the books that I need to catch up on and get to, and I was late to the game coming around to this, but everyone I know that thread this just has the highest of praises for it. So you, Kyle, Max, Wes in particular, I only hear positive things, and I can't wait to kind of like really get into the thick of it. So with that, are we ready to go into our number 1 pick for May of 2023? Look, Ollie's getting excited. He's shaking and making like a little tambourine noises down there.
Oh yeah, you got goosebumps. He's ready.
He's like, heck yeah, let's do this. So my number one pick for the debut of May is going to be a Marvel book, surprisingly, and it is Get Fury #1, written by Garth Ennis with art by Jason Burrows and colors by Guillermo Ortego. Sorry. So Garth Ennis returns to Marvel with Nick Fury and Frank Castle, as you've never seen. It's 1971. There's a war raging in Vietnam, and Nick Fury has been captured by the Viet Cong. At this moment, they don't quite understand that they have in their possession a man who knows enough secrets to damage the United States beyond comprehension. The CIA, however, does realize this and can't risk their enemy getting those secrets. So they dispatch the most deadly man in the U.S. Army, Lieutenant Frank Castle. I will say I was a little nervous to read this because I've read some kind of recent Garth Ennis books and I was not impressed. Some of them I would have probably even put like my worst of the year for 2023. So for me, getting this, reading it, and really kind of loving what he did with it, the intensity of it, the kind of throwback to the Marvel Max days. And then, it's just nice when you can get someone writing military or generals and it's not some Yahoo that's writing like Twitter speak for these individuals. Like it sounds like something an actual general would say. It sounds like something a CIA operative would actually say. I thought was refreshing and nice and took me back to the good old days. And even though it took a while to get there, there's some pretty intense scenes. A guy may or may not get his head just like chopped in half. So I'm curious, did you read this and what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I did read this. I thought it was okay. I said it before. Honestly, they spent an inordinate amount of time on the soldier with his little puppy or cat or whatever it was. Just pages talking about this damn pet, and like I'm having to flip forward several pages. I'm like, are we going to keep going with this about this damn cat? Is this all this comic's going to be about? But fortunately, I think after 5 or 6 pages, we finally get on with the actual plot, and it does get better. But I will say it's not the best of Garth Ennis. It's not the worst. It's good. It was an okay start. It wasn't the best. But I think issue 2 has already come out. I think I already read issue 2. I think that was all right.
Yeah, I haven't read issue 2 yet. So I've got to play catch up with a lot of what's coming out this month because I was trying to catch up with what came out in May. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember the puppy, and I was like, "What puppy you're talking about?" And then I flipped through, and I was like, "Oh yeah." I was the opposite. I was like, "Don't you dare kill that little puppy, you little bastard!" So, yeah, I don't know. For me, it was really kind of the ending. I liked the whole conversation with the CIA, pretty much saying like, "Hey, this is your mission. This is what you're gonna go do." The acknowledgement of like, "Hey, we can't do that to Fury. He's kind of like a national treasure."
Yeah.
And them just being like, yeah, no, you are, because this is putting the entire country in jeopardy. So he needs to be killed. And I'll be curious to see where they take it. Again, we'll see. But I thought the issue showed a lot of promise, especially by the end of the issue. I do think it could use some more action because, again, it's a lot of talking. And I'm okay if it feels like it's leading to something. So we'll see where it goes.
Yes, we shall.
Fear Monarch put Get Fury is going hard. Let me a little. The people who you trusted might not have your best interest storyline. I'm kind of a sucker for that as well. So I'll go for that. Anytime you can create a complex situation with two people who do kind of respect each other and should be friends but can't because of outside factors, I think it's always a compelling story. Mark McGrath, what's up, brother? He put Get Fury is fantastic. Ennis is really doing great with this. 007 in his 2000 AD work. I haven't read 007. Have you?
Uh-huh.
I flipped through an issue and decided not to buy it. So I'll just put that out there.
But. As my old friend Bill Lumberg would say, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. It's it's not. No, I cannot recommend it. No.
I'll probably check out the trade.
I am a James I'm a James Bond connoisseur. I am a big time Bond connoisseur, and what he's done with Bond, I'll say it's at least better than what Vita Ayala and Danny Lore did. It's better than that.
I mean, that's not the highest of bars to cover, but I mean, yes, thank God it's better than that. I'm not the biggest James Bond fan. Or I'm not gonna say fan, but I'm not the biggest James Bond connoisseur. So I think I will have less of a
no, Mark.
opinion.
I'm sorry. What Mark just said next, I'm like, no, that is not the same Bond. No, I have read the books. I have the books. This is not the same Bond. No, it is not. This is Roger Moore. This is the Roger Moore Bond we're doing here. It's like, no, it's nowhere close to that.
Yeah, I'm more like, I've seen the movies. They're fine, so I'm less attached to that character, and we'll see how I feel when
Bond has a very special Bond has a special place in my heart. I read all the novels when I was in high school, and so yeah, I will say the ones I did enjoy, you would like, are the Warren Ellis stories. The Warren Ellis stories are actually really good, and I think Andy Diggle did one that's actually pretty good too. But after that, it took a steep dive in quality.
Nice. And then Fear Monarch says you can shake Dolan, but not stir him up. So there we go. Oh yeah, Mark's saying he read the books too, Drew. So we'll see. Look, it's to each their own. We kind of had this last night where I feel certain ways about Joss Whedon projects, and I feel like I have studied that man and his work more than probably 99% of the people that are out there. And there are people that we just completely disagree on certain things. What they love is sometimes what I hate about his work. So, yeah. But Drew, let's get on to your number one pick. Let's wrap up this little stream with your number one. And it is none other than Conan the Barbarian, number 11, written by Jim Zub with art by Robert De La Torre, colors by Diego Rodriguez, Beyond Flesh, Beyond Death, Beyond Time. Conan has traveled far and seen much in his legendary journeys, but nothing he has experienced thus far can prepare him for a quest to lands beyond to answer dark riddles of the past. Unexpected allies await, fierce enemies loom, and the strange power of the Black Stone stirs in the age unconquered. Why is this your number one pick, Drew?
So, for one, the art, Roberto De La Torre's art, is once again a godsend on comic book art, and what every comic book needs. The comic book industry needs more artists like Roberto De La Torre, and his detail, his beauty, and just how he's able to capture the spirit and essence of the Marvel art from the 70s, which was near perfection at that point. And he gets that spirit here perfectly with the swords and sandals, the ghouls, the badassery, the babes. Everything is beautiful in this. And the fight scenes in this are amazing. As they're going through the deeper levels of the Atlantis, different crypts, you get the massive fight scene with these ghouls who are hiding behind this massive door. It's an awesome fight scene. But with the most powerful moment in this is when there are some fallen soldiers, and you see King Cole on his knee, reminiscing upon the fallen soldiers. Saying just feeling like just lost and regret for having lost them. And you see Conan seeing him do that. And it's like it's nothing that it's something that he was never raised with. Something he was told never to do. So it's interesting for him seeing a king hearing his voice quake and having this deep remorse. A king praying. It's like, what is this? He's like, it's nothing he's ever seen before. So it's something like this that we're led to believe is going to help grow Conan to eventually become the king he will be later on in life. And we also get a little tease or a hint. If you're familiar with the Conan films, there's a certain sword in that, and that sword may show up later on in these pages. But that sword may have some something bad may happen with that sword later on after it's discovered. This is a terrific read. Everyone's got to check out Conan the Barbarian. This is what comic books should be. This is what every comic book creator should be living up to. This is the bar right here.
Yeah, I will say, when we were in Dallas this past couple of weekends, whenever it was, for Fan Expo. We had the pleasure of kind of getting to talk with Jim Zub a little bit, but we also attended one of his panels. So we went into great detail on my recap for Dallas Fan Expo. So if you have some time, go watch that stream. But also Max did a recap as well. And, you're mentioning what Cole does and how Conan is hopefully learning from this. And that's something we directly asked Jim was, hey, this moment, it seems like, and we couldn't even finish it. And Jim's like, oh yeah, Conan is not a king. He doesn't understand this aspect of life. And this is him learning it for the first time. This is him understanding what it means to be a king and getting aspects of that. So, what we were hoping would be the case sounds like it's going to be the case moving forward. And I will say I have all the respect in the world for Jim Zub after kind of hearing him talk about Conan, the process that he went through getting this. And I think it's crazy that the fact that the reason we have Jim Zub writing Conan is most likely thanks to Gail Simone of all people, because she was the first person that recommended him to write Conan. That got him his first stint on Conan. And Jim Zub was familiar with Robert De La Torre. So when the opportunity came up to pick an artist, this was the guy that he was adamant they got, and it happened. And it's been a beautiful marriage between Titan Zub and Robert. And I think this is going to be one of those books that it just becomes evergreen and it lasts, and it'll be something that Conan fans or people looking to introduce themselves to Conan will turn to just years and years and years from now. So I hope he has a long run and just delivers this sweeping epic, because I know that's what he wants to do. And yes. I hope he gets the opportunity to do it. So
I want to see a nice long Chris Claremont run on Conan with Jim Zub and Roberto De La Torre, or at the very least, give us a Fantastic Four Stan Lee, Jack Kirby long run, 100 issues of both these guys doing it.
For sure. Yeah, if they can keep it up and go, absolutely. Mark McGrath put, De La Torre is really tearing it up. Conan is wonderful, and Savage Sword has been a welcome addition. I agree. Savage Sword has been a welcome addition, but I think the heat is definitely here. Absolutely. And Beer Monarch put, not Ultimate Spider-Man's date night issue? What?
I just read the latest issue of Ultimate Spider-Man this week. It's fine. It's not great. Okay, we got a fight scene. Finally. Hey. Yeah, that's something. But
at least a step up from the last two issues, right?
Yes, I'll say that. Yeah, it sucks, but it's a step up. Yeah,
it sucks, but it's a step up. We also have. Oh God, I didn't enunciate there. We also have Breen. I can't wait to go back and listen to that attempt at that sentence. We also have Breen in the house. He goes, hey, this is just like Tuesday nights, minus the annoying WWE guy. Yeah, that annoying WWE guy with this ridiculous beard. God, what a jerk. We both had the day off, Breen, so we decided to just kind of do a little afternoon delight and bring some people some comics content. But
delight.
Yeah. afternoon delight.
Sky rockets in flight. Woo! Afternoon delight.
But that wraps up. Oh, look who it is. It's Mr. Maxfield Von Priestley himself. All he says is Conan. Max is like the little retard that pops up out of nowhere. He's like, Conan, and then hey, Max, how are you doing today? He's like, I like turtles. It's just Max, and we love him for it. We genuinely do. Look, everyone's showing up now. We got IJP Mexican. Smash that like button, you racists. Yeah, do it for the Mexican. Okay, now IJP, I need you to come in with your American handle so we can do it for the Americans. But look, he's clapping.
Yay!
Max, did you see the text I sent? You've got an event that's going to be close to your area that you should go to. You should totally go. It would be fun. And then, of course, Mark McGrath's got to come in now that Max is here and go, who's down with MVP? Yeah, you know me. But yeah, that is our top five. So top. Oh God, I can't talk today. Top 5 debuts, and then our that our top 5 overall comics. Max is confirming he saw the text that I sent to the group. I'm sure he's peeing his pants with excitement.
Oh yeah,
and
I have no clue who that guy is, but sure.
It's Soups. It's the guy that does the trailer reaction. So he's like, "Yeah, let's go!"
Oh no,
yeah, it's him.
Not him. Oh God.
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
Wow.
Oh, ask and you shall receive. Smash that like button for the white man. Hey,
for the Americans.
Thank you, IJP. I appreciate it. And yeah, make sure if you missed the stream, go check out our top 5 and then let us know if we're right, if we're wrong. Fear Monarch already told me that I'm on thin ice because I picked a Mark Russell book to put in my top 5. Look, I'm just saying. So yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in. Drew, where can people find you if they want to find you?
You can find me on Facebook as Dolan Waddick. You can find me at Instagram, Dolan_Waddick. I'm posting and sharing nothing but my art projects, everything that's coming up this year and later this year. Joshy Poo, you may know about a few of those, and we may be having a certain call about one of those here in a bit.
Here in a bit. That is correct. And if you want to find me, you can find me at Joshua L. McDonald on Twitter or at ByPopped on Twitter. And of course, we're here every Tuesday for Culture Popped, and then we're going to have a string of shows coming up soon. We'll have this continuing monthly. We've got a Sippin' with McDizzy stream coming up this month. We also have Only Josh coming back this month. And I have partnered with Roman and Max. I'm waiting to hear from one final person, and then we should have that finalized and set to go to discuss men's mental health awareness, since June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys on the flip side. But until then, just, stay popping. How about that? Stay